I know that many of you, at least some of you, don't watch the videos, which is fine. I have no problem with that. You just listen to them. That's fine. I'm going to read all these headlines as we go through, okay? So buckle up. There's a lot of them. We're going to start with Abolish the White Race. That's from Harvard Magazine. USC professor calls for Holocaust against all white people. Professor behind white genocide tweet says he has university support. Rutgers lecturer tweeted about shooting white people. Rutgers professor on white people. We gotta take these MFers out. Johnny Eric Williams, Trinity College professor. Whiteness is terrorism. University works to reduce number of white people on campus. When is it okay to kill whites? Texas A&M University. University of Georgia TA, who said white people might have to die, did not violate code of conduct. White supremacy causes black citizens to commit anti-Asian hate crimes. Americans who practice yoga contribute to white supremacy, claims Michigan State University professor. University of Kansas offers angry white male studies class. Baltimore professor, white people need to personally give all their money to black people. University of South Carolina bans whites from applying for a job. Professor, white people are conditioned to commit mass murder. Rutgers clears professor who said he hates white people. College professor believing in hard work is white ideology. College professor, all white people should kill themselves. College professor wanted white genocide for Christmas. Surviving whiteness and white people. Columbia hosts deconstructing whiteness workshop. Breaking through bastion of whiteness. Facing whiteness. Columbia University in New York. A space for uprooting whiteness group. SFUW. Columbia University. Students exploring whiteness. That's Columbia University. The Dean's Unlearning Whiteness Research Award. Okay, that's also Columbia University. Columbia University again. Whiteness. Controversy erupts after Ivy League University excludes white people from new class. Townsend University presentation, white people are a plague. Dear white people, signs at college insist black people can't be racist. Dismantle whiteness mural installed at USC. Your DNA is an abomination. Texas State University paper slammed for racist article by author who said they hate white people. Professor, white supremacist patriarchy responsible for Vegas shooting. Educators slammed for suggesting abolishment of whiteness and white people. Evergreen State College students host No Whites Allowed event for a second year in a row. Geology is racist and linked to white supremacy, claims university professor. Preston Mitchell, Georgetown law professor. All white people are racist. Georgia TA, some white people may have to die. I don't know what this is. Harvard Bookstore. Oh, I got to stop it for this one here. This is a lot. Okay, we got all these different books here at the bookstore. This is only a partial list, apparently. So let's take a look here. Treason to whiteness is loyalty to humanity. White malice. Dying of whiteness. White too long, the legacy of white supremacy and American Christianity. Okay. Never mind that Europe is white. That's where white people evolved from. And Christianity, that's where it really took hold. The trouble with white women. Dismantling institutional whiteness. White supremacy is all around. White evangelical racism. The wages of whiteness. Whiteness at the end of the world. The hidden roots of white supremacy. On whiteness. Racial Imaginary Institute. White privilege. Psychoanalytic perspectives. Nice white ladies. The truth about white supremacy. Decentering whiteness in the workplace. Me and white supremacy. The last white man. White fear. How the browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. Rich white men. What it takes to uproot the old boys club and transform America. Whiteness studies exploring privilege. That's from Harvard. Harvard again. How white supremacy became part of a nation's fabric. Disrupting whiteness in the classroom. Again, Harvard. Harvard again. Monopolizing whiteness. Harvard again. Whiteness as property. Harvard again. Whiteness and ethnographic question. Kill all white people professor has still not been fired. Of course not. Why would he be? Lehigh University professor argues that the field of public health sustains white supremacy. Major medical school removes predominantly white male alumni photos. A nice white lady, critical whiteness studies, teacher education in city schools. Penn State professor says school forced him to teach English language as white supremacy. Professor, white supremacy is the deep virus. Professor lambasts white people as damaging who need to dismantle their whiteness. Professor, I'll teach my children to distrust white people. Professor, meritocracy is one of America's whiteness ideologies. Professor uses pyramid of white supremacy to teach education class. Professor will visit St. Paul to discuss history of white supremacy in U.S. textbooks. Prominent law professor blames Harris' loss on toxic masculinity and white supremacy. Rhode Island professor ties Tom Brady's popularity to white supremacy. Rutgers professor says white people kind of deserve declining birth rates. Oh, more things that I have to read through here. Let's see here. This is from the Inclusive Science Initiative, Exploring Cultural Awareness, Whiteness. Whiteness is a cultural concept. Learning white privilege. I'm not going to read all that it says underneath these things. But that's from the University of South Dakota. Great. Stop White People program at Binghamton University draws controversy. Sunday professor pens article titled Seeing Poor White People Makes Me Happy. Teaching math perpetuates white privilege, says university professor. Too many white people in here. Race row at U.S. college. Too many whites attend campus concerts, says Oberlin College newspaper columnist. Johnny Eric Williams, Trinity College professor, calls white people inhuman. Let them effing die. Prof who tweeted whiteness is terror has history of extreme posts on social media. Mandatory University of Wisconsin law seminar tells there are no exceptional white people. University to remove World War II murals because they show too many white people. What is white privilege? White masculinity is a problem for America's colleges, professor says. Having white nuclear family promotes white supremacy, says New York professor. White people banned from common spaces at UC Berkeley's off-campus housing. White people need to work on their whiteness, sociologist. White privilege and its influence on the college campus. White racism is becoming a popular university class at campuses across the nation. White racism course at Florida University teaches that America is a white supremacist society. White supremacy is the root of race-related violence in the United States. Why white people are toxic on America's elite campuses. As if that wasn't enough.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby!
Why does a white guy always have to be the hero? If I had a choice, I wouldn't be a whitey. That's in the Times. Op-ed, proudly Jewish, proudly gay, reluctantly white. Okay. White people, we need to talk about your neighborhoods. White savior films are problematic. Here's why. Movies like The Help are trending on Netflix. Dear fellow white men in tech, stop it. Okay. What are we doing in tech? Britain is racist. There, I said it. Okay. Autopsies can uphold white supremacy. Oh, okay. Why white people concerned about black people looting is racist. Oh, yeah, okay. The way you choose to carry your child might be racist. Of course, it is. Very. Yep. The white male is the biggest risk in spreading the virus. Of course he is. Finally, the U.S. admits it. AP classes are way too white. Yep. The unwatchable whiteness of holiday movies. Yeah. Why are my fellow whites still so awful at naming children? 17 foods that white people have ruined. That's all we do is ruin food. Salvation Army wants white donors to offer a sincere apology for their racism. Oh, I'm sure. When white people take up too much space. Yeah. Minority in the world, but take up too much space. White people, please stop asking people of color dumb questions. When white people take up too much space. Again, we saw that one. This green space shouldn't be so white. Okay, well. Study telling white people they'll be outnumbered makes them hate welfare more. The global dominance of white people is thanks to the potato. No, that one's not really racist. Black student claims too many white people at center. This is a space for people of color. When did recipe writing get so whitewashed? White people of color need spaces without white people. Hockey has long been about white machoism. Can the NHL change that? White people, here's why moving to a good school in a good neighborhood is racist. White women drive me crazy. Why I won't date white women anymore. Am I finally done with white guys? Dear white people, we need to talk about your diet's carbon footprint. Nobody else has a carbon footprint on their diet. Donald Glover is right. I'm sick of white people canceling things on my behalf. If you're white, science says you're probably racist. Now what? Why white people can't dance, they're traumatized. Yeah, that's why. The left behind, why the white American Christians so racist? Why white people rarely shut up, listen, and learn about race? Dear white people, all you ever do is talk. Now shut up. Shut up, white people. White folks, racism is our problem. Opinion. Oh, yeah, I bet that is your opinion. Dear white people, it's time to shut up and listen. Yeah. I'm tired of good white people. Yeah, can't win no matter what. MTV forces white people to face their whiteness in new documentary, White People. I have to watch that. I'm so weary of hearing I'm sorry from white people. Just stop it. I will never tell you that. AT&T employee training program says white people, you are all the problem. Walmart CRT training encourages employees to accept that white is not a right. Why is American classical music so white? Oh, jeez. Dear God, help me to hate white people. Yeah, that's what you need. White racial anxiety strikes again. The weird connection between smiling and racism. Yeah, okay. America's problem is that white people want it to be a failed state. White Americans are the biggest terror threat in the United States. Yeah. Op-ed, white men overcrowd the orchestral industry. Glenn Youngkin's victory proves white ignorance is a powerful weapon. Opinion, stop talking and start listening, white people. It's time to stop talking about racism with white people. The end of white America. Dear white friends, I see right through your Black Lives Matter posts. 86% of Air Force pilots are white men. Here's why this needs to change. Why are so many white Americans so unhappy? White people should keep quiet during debate on racism, says Paris Deputy Mayor. America is getting less white, and that will save it. Okay, then. White people, this is what you need to do. How white people can hold each other accountable to stop institutional racism. Bragging about not bathing your kids is a blatant act of white privilege. The video game industry is too white, straight, and male for its own good. The weaponization of whiteness in schools. White silence on social media, why not saying anything is actually saying a lot. White women must hold each other accountable for racism. The loathsome connection between anti-Semitism and white supremacy. The dangers of white male supremacy. Students at University of Kent must take a white privilege course. The straight white middle-class man needs to be dethroned. White men are bad. It is easier being a straight white man. Being a straight white man is the easiest. How white supremacy returned to mainstream politics. White supremacy and white nationalism have re-entered our political conversation, but what do they mean? White supremacy is the root of violence against Jews. I refuse to listen to white women cry. Are white people bad for the environment? And now it has this at the end. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Cut off the support network and isolate the target from sympathy. Go after people and not institutions. People hurt faster than institutions. This is cruel, but very effective. Direct, personalized criticism and ridicule works. Saul Alinsky. Yeah, so there's a lot of anti-white rhetoric out there in the media. You notice the Western world is almost every single country in the Western world, the first world, is a white-dominant country. So why is that? Is it because of their race, their culture? I don't think it's a race thing. I think it's a culture thing. The European work ethic, the European point of view. We carried that with us when we spread around the world. And people always only want to look at the bad that was done by white people, Well, there's bad done by every race. It's not just white people. I don't know why other people can't see this. I know that there's plenty of different types of people in other races, plenty of different types of opinions, but a lot of them they just can't see that it's like yeah, there's bad in every group. There's bad people. There's bad things that have been done by every different group of people. So white people don't hold a monopoly on hate or violence or any of that stuff, but we pretty much hold a monopoly on making things better for the general populace. The only countries that have done that, besides white people, were South Korea and Japan. And guess who influenced them to do that? You know, after World War II, we rebuilt Japan, and then we went into Korea and helped them fight a war. And when we couldn't win that war for them, we stayed in South Korea. Look what happened. And every country where white people have colonized, been evil colonizers, has gotten better because of it. So yeah, there's tragedy that goes along. There's terrible things that go along with that, in many cases. But other people would do those tragic, terrible things too. The Native Americans were doing horrendous things to each other before whites came along, and even after whites came along. So we have to stop demonizing any group of people based on their physical characteristics. It's not okay. No matter what those physical characteristics are. Like looking at me, people, I'm a short man, so therefore there must be something wrong with me. I must be bad in some way, right? Otherwise, I'd be normal height, at least. I've heard people say this stuff to me, so it's not true though. Short people don't have any kind of propensity towards violence that I'm aware of. So I don't know what to tell you. The ridiculous things out there that people get into their heads. They don't want to blame themselves for their own problems or take responsibility for their own problems. They want to blame white people for keeping down the people who are not white here in the United States. But here in California, the largest racial group is Hispanic. You think there are no Hispanic millionaires living around here? You see Hispanic guys doing really well. So it's not like they're being kept down. There's plenty of people out there who can do well and not be white. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's all I got for this time. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.